Do you think what drives a lot of career criminals is the money or the juice?
Or the
It's definitely the juice. It's the juice in the system, and it's literally the last thing's usually the money. I mean, money is always a factor. I mean, everything we do, there's money involved.
Well, because I was seeing a thing with this this guy. He actually went to prison for like 20 years, right? Had a felony, and he was found not guilty after 20 years. They got him out, but he can't get a job.
Yeah.
Because he has this. He's in prison for 20 years, so no one hires him.
There's a lapse in employment there.
Yeah, so he has no experience. He gets back in the work field, and everyone's like, "You're in prison for 20 years." He has this huge black guy in his resume. So what's he know? Well, he knows drugs.
Yeah.
He knows he can make this money really fast.
Yep.
He knows that world.
And it's not even
this
who
world's
does he-
not
it's
accepting
who does
him.
he know?
So what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem.
I also think that the juice is a bigger thing than a lot of people realize.
It gives you an identity too.
Right. That's the thing. I was thinking about it the other day
cool
as I was
factor.
driving my wife's Volvo with my young child in the back in a car seat going, to drop her off at like a virtual Zoom for her, lockdown class. And I'm driving home and I'm thinking to myself, like, as much as I love crack and meth and drinking, I loved it. But a big part of it was like, I felt like a legit bad boy.
Yeah.
There was the
You were a
goosebumps
bad
I
boy.
would get when I would drive to North Pasadena, where I'm surrounded by fucking literal murderers. And I'm like this suburbanite little pretty boy bitch.
Yeah.
My life would never go into there where I got real fucking heart pound. Like I'm waiting and I'm like, are the cops coming? And there's a fucking gangbanger about to drop me off crack rocks. And I'm
Yeah.
like, there was a fucking excitement to it
like
that I could
recreate
never
that somewhere
I could
else.
never
Good
recreate.
luck.
I was watching this quarantine. I was watching this cartel show, and these guys were in Venezuela, which is a shit show, right? But these
Hot chicks, though.
the best,
Ridiculous,
but
yes.
the best. Dude, we should go there. It's cheap. Anyways, so these two cartel members, their mom was running for a government spot, and they were being investigated by the feds, and the feds had undercover agents, so they played what they were saying, and they go, "Yeah, we need to flip this because we need 20 million to fund our mom's campaign. We need 20 million." They're like, "You get your 20 million." And it shows them, and then the undercover feds go, "Yeah, so we're gonna do it in Hades though, or no, we're gonna do it in Fiji. We're gonna do it in Fiji." And they were like, "Why are we going to Fiji?" And like, it's just better for us there. And they're like, "All right, we'll go to Fiji." Well, because they don't have jurisdiction in Venezuela, they get them to Fiji, they're gonna arrest the
They're gonna
fuck
get
out of
them.
And it shows these two young men, good looking, their mom's in government, they have money, and it shows them on the plane, on their iPhones, be like, "What's up?" Like, for sure, act like you've been there before. But they're like, "Oh, what's up?" And they're popping bottles. I look at my girl, I go, "What the fuck are they doing?"
Yeah.
Like, they're fine. And my girl goes, "Yeah, but to them, like, that's like they grew up in like that cartel world means something to them. Like,
Yeah, it's like an
fun,
honorable
the
thing to
juice."
them.
And I started,
Status.
I'm like, I bet it is fun. Like,
It's
while you're
so
doing
fun.
it,
Yeah.
I bet it's a fucking rush. man.
Well,
That's
ask
why
him.
compared to like, I mean, I know you guys go. I mean, it could be the same as like comparing like stand up to like fighting, like the rush you got going, like walking
The
out to the
endorphins?
octagon. Yeah, it's like the endorphins, the rush, because a lot of people get that from stand up, and I don't get that from stand up. I like stand up because I think it's fun.
Well, you're not gonna die doing stuff.
Yeah, I don't
There's a
get-
different endorphin,
I-
like
you're
fighting
gonna go to
and,
jail.
and what you were doing.
I just see
there's a
people,
different endorphin.
Yeah, because it's like almost like when I see like I mean, like special forces guys and stuff like talk about how like they're badass for like killing people. Like there's no ramifications for like you're killing people like legally. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like I'm like I know key people that
Yeah.
I'm just like they're like I'm like there's a different thing when you have that risk of you're really on the edge and everything can be taken away. There's just nothing. There's nothing like it.
Well, the special forces guys have a risk of having
of
the guy that
killing them. Yeah.
It's a
I mean,
big
it's
risk.
That is a huge part of the. I've talked to those
Yeah.
guys. It's a huge part of the juice.
Chasing the
and,
dragon.
And you they've proven that in high stress situations you develop deep bonds. You secrete oxytocin.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Brotherly
It's the
band.
bonds
So
with
you
the
create
people
this
around
deep,
you.
deep
Yeah.
connection with the people you're with. So then now you got real friends, brothers,
Yeah.
blood
You
brothers
can depend on.
that you can depend
You've
on.
all made the walk. You've all been the fox.
So
Yeah.
why do you want to be around a bunch of fucking people like actors when you come to Hollywood who don't give a fuck about you? Your show gets canceled. They won't even fucking dip in
They
the
won't
pocket
talk to you.
and give
They
you
won't give you
fucking
money.
give you dime fucking one after
Yeah.
7 years. You start these guys in the business. sacrifice. You fucking give a pound of your own flesh. You go hungry for these motherfuckers. And when the chips are down, I'm poor. I gotta piss out of my huge dick. You guys keep going.
No, it's great.
And I gotta go throw up because I'm sick.
If you
to my
have, if you have a
stomach.
glove, I'll jerk you off.
Steve, I was thinking about this too. Like, obviously, El Chapo had some sort of work ethic, and he's a smart dude.
Yeah.
Lucky Luciano, who's basically started the business of the Italian mafia. I wonder if you took those guys, put them in regular business settings like Apple or you name
Yeah.
any company, Hulu, whatever company, Amazon. I wonder if they would succeed at the regular business too, not just.
I don't know, because
the
it's
dark
like you
web.
don't really have that risk there. It's like you
But
feel
they also understand business.
Yeah, they
and surplus
understand
and
it.
demand.
But they also like talk. They make that shit sound so much more complicated than it is.
The
Like,
drug stuff?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's not. I mean, it is, but it's not like you don't have to be like Elon Musk. You don't have to be like fucking. If he's not going to be, there's a reason. He does what he does.
astrophysics.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it's not.
But
it's
I just wonder with like
it
Lucky
takes more
Luciano.
leadership. It's more of a
yeah, that's
leadership.
what I'm saying. Like they have
thing.
leadership
Yeah.
qualities, and like
It's-
Lucky Luciano, his whole thing was we don't. He didn't want to get into drugs because he's
Yeah.
like that's what's going to get us in trouble first. Like if we get into drugs, they're going to crack down on us. We shouldn't get into drugs, and the Italian mafia ended up getting into drugs, and that's one of the reasons they got busted. But his whole thing was he did run a pretty tight business.
Tight, yeah.
I'm like, I wonder if you could take that.
He'd probably be doing
'cause he
better
had
than the
leadership
average person,
People
for sure.
respect him. I wonder if you could
Yeah.
take that. Obviously, you can't kill people, but if
Yeah.
you take that and put them in a regular business setting, would they still succeed?
I wonder-
like would Pablo Escobar, who's they
Yeah.
say worth like $4 billion at his height. He obviously had some sort of logistics business mindset
yeah. I
that
know,
these
they
other guys
definitely-
didn't have.
'cause they
El
couldn't-
Chapo, think how many guys there are that
Yeah.
start at a low level, and he built it. Obviously, killing a ton of people, but
Hmm.
built his way up and then figured things out.
Right. Well,
The tunnels,
from X's
insane.
and O's standpoint, I think you make a good point. Like, obviously, they're capable, but one wonders, like, if you don't love what you're doing, would you be willing to commit to doing it? Meaning, like
The same passion.
I knew a lot of guys when I was in like the punk rock hardcore world. Like I knew these guys that were like, especially in like grindcore bands and death metal bands, where they knew going in they weren't going to get big listenership, they weren't going to sell a lot of records, they weren't going to make a lot of money.
A niche audience.
But they were so fucking technically skilled at playing guitar. They were so worlds ahead of most people. And I go like, you're so good.
Play Nickelback.
Why don't you go be Dave
Play
Grohl?
Nickelback.
And they go,
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't want to play that music. It doesn't
they're
excite me.
touring in
And I think
vans.
they can sit there and they can spend 12, 13 hours going over these obscure scales because that's what pumps them up. But if you tell them, you could make a lot more money, you could have a lot more longevity being a studio musician, and they'd be like, well, fuck you. It doesn't get me
Yeah.
going, So I wonder if there's like the similarity is
It's
like
the same thing. Because even if you went up to Pablo Escobar, you're like, hey, dude, instead of cocaine, let's have you push pharmaceutical drugs.
right.
Yeah.
It's legal, but there's a big market, dude. So let's put your brain behind that and do that. I wonder if you just flourish.
Yeah.
Because think about all the logistics they have to go through now, especially with the feds and with the wall and all this stuff. Because what drug cartel members do, maybe you know better than me, Stevie, but they want the least resistance, the path of least resistance, like water, right?
Yeah.
Wherever the water's going to go, where it gets the least resistance. So they're doing submarines. They're going from Venezuela. They had all these little boats, all the tons of boats that would get only so far. They'd have to regas and keep going. Well, we took that away.
Yeah.
So then what they do, they got high-end jets, like jets that billionaires use, and they would land and no one would assume that it was loaded with drugs. Because like, why would this billionaire be doing drugs? But they just played the part of billionaires. They'd have someone rent these huge
Sure.
jets.
Where there's a will, there's
Yeah.
a way.
So, but they're constantly coming up with stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
beat
gotta
the system.
innovate. You just have to be
They're-
innovative.
They have their IQs have to be
Steps
pretty
ahead of
fucking
everybody.
good. Man.
Well, you're always working on it, but they've done studies on criminals, on psychological profiles on criminals, and they usually have the same psychological makeup as a race car driver, or someone who can take risks, high risks.
None of them are athletes?
or special forces guys. Guys
kidding.
Guys who take.
Those cartel guys, they're all tiny little guys.
Well,
with
but
cowboy
they-
hats
You ever
but-
seen
on.
El Chapo's body?
Yeah,
they're
it's
like-
it's a personality type though, where you don't get nervous the way most people do. You have
Like Travis Pastrana.
they on Fight Science or Sports Science they
Yeah.
did they studied like high clutch players, right? Guys who just were amazing athletes. when all the chips were down, their heart rate didn't really
Didn't
go up.
change.
They just
Yeah.
stayed so calm. So
Yeah.
there's a personality trait I feel like goes with people that take huge risks. Whether it's
But
like,
don't you think Elon Musk has that, or Jeff Bezos has that?
maybe but they
Or
might
Bill
have
Gates
a
or
different
Steve Jobs?
Yeah,
I'm a big
Steve
Elon.
Jobs?
I'm a big Elon fan, but I think what goes on with Elon,
Dude, that's
and
my
I've
Lord
known,
and Savior.
No, I'm not. This is not in any way
can
talking
get us
shit.
to space,
I'm a big
dude.
fan, but I think what goes on with him is that you have a man with a almost preposterous science fiction IQ that is also
On the
off.
spectrum?
Yeah, there's
He's on the
there's
spectrum for
something
sure.
there.
So is he on the spectrum, or are we just all so stupid? He's at a different frequency.
Yeah, it's
I don't-
a different
I-
and for him, it's like
he's a-
talking
yeah.
to, when he talks to regular people, it's like talking to 4
but he's a visionary. He's a visionary.
Yeah.
So his ego's very big. He's a visionary. He's got the idea.
I don't
that,
think you make
know,
$1 billion without having an ego.
Well,
I
no,
agree.
but
I
but,
agree.
but what I'm saying is, and I'm certainly not qualified to make that kind of claim like he's on the spectrum or this and that. But I do know that he's different than us in the sense that I used to, after my divorce, I had this hard time even like getting back into the world. I was just, like, the only thing that was going good for me was work. So I just fucking said, I'm going to commit myself to radio. My whole life's going to be radio. I'm not even going to worry about chicks. I'm not going to. And then after like a year, I had this female friend. Like I'd never thought in a million years I would develop a friend that I wouldn't fuck that was female.
No,
like
yeah.
it's the only point for me in my mind. Like that's the only reason you hang out with girls.
Yeah, I'm still that way.
And she graduated from UCLA early and went to MIT studying this very exotic form of physics. And she was, really,
Got a brain on
really, really smart,
You got the
smarter
big
than
brain
the
on
average.
Becky.
But she also was very attractive. And
What?
things just kind of fell into place. And one night we ended up,
Like,
Oh yeah.
and I was like, we're gonna make this work. We're actually friends. I like her. She gets along with me.
Was it hot?
Yeah, yeah.
You just don't skip over that, dude.
You're a good-looking guy. dude.
Yeah, dude. She
was looking
So
at
what
your
happened?
Well, what happened sexually
And
is
she
like
bodied up because usually those real brainy girls have no ass.
I don't want to
This
get
is an
too
important question.
why is
I don't
that,
want to get
right?
too into
Their brains are
it
too big.
because I don't want it. People will know who I'm talking
Science.
about. But she was
Look it
a
up.
collegiate swimmer. So like,
She has some
Set some
shoulders on her.
traps.
She has some shoulders.
yeah, she's a really attractive, athletic girl.
Yeah.
But she also happened to be like 170 IQ. And the problem is like I said, I'm going to make this a relationship.
Imagine
And we
your
go and
babies.
hang out. We go and we hang out one day. We go like on our like first like kind of date.
Ooh, were you nervous?
And I realized like she is very frustrated talking to me.
because you're so compared. No, I'm not
I'm
calling you
such
stupid.
a
You're smarter than me.
dummy. Yeah.
But compared to her, yeah.
And I was even insecure because I'm like, oh my gosh, she thinks I'm such a dummy, and she's looking at me going, oh, okay. And then you know how
you start
know how-
using big
you know how
words
when
and shit.
Elon's when Elon's on JRE,
Yeah.
where there's that where he goes,
he
well,
waits.
and
How to
you know what
explain
he's
it to
doing? He's
Joe.
going
Yeah, I
like,
see
how
that
do I
too,
explain
yeah.
this to a
He's
lay
processing
person?
it
Yeah.
because he's like, oh,
She's sitting there at Toast on Third in in West LA doing
Love
the
that place.
same fucking thing to me, and and we just drifted apart. And it was because, and so my point being is that like I think when your brain works in such a unique way, it's
almost a
you
curse.
have an inability to kind of relate to the
Yeah.
brains that don't work in a
Agree.
unique way. You
Tell
know,
you this right now.
Yeah.
Watch your tone.
Okay. What's going to happen? What are you going to do? Use some of that boxing you've been doing?
Don't you fucking disrespect.